in some of these areas, obtaining precious palmito, hearts of palm, and wild birds and such like that. But what we found repeatedly throughout this area was that the main enforcement was being directed at people who live there, as opposed to these kind of black market operations. And so I think, as my point, and one of my points certainly in doing this series of stories, was to explore some of the challenges that we face as the United States in particular moves forward on the debate involving forests as emission offsets. There's absolutely no question that forests need to be remain standing, and that forests can play a very critical role in reducing levels of greenhouse gas emissions.
Mark Schapiro, you mentioned the Green Police, and I wanted to turn to one of the video clips on the Green Police and how they harass local communities living near the GM, the General Motors forest.
We went on patrol with a Forza Verde crew, taking off across the bay of Paranagua. Though the term Green Police may sound benign to us, it was clear that the locals feared them. They have the power to fine, confiscate, and even arrest fishermen, hunters, and others who violate the rules. Lieutenant Alvaro told us that enforcement has intensified since the carbon sequestration efforts began. They carry the guns, SPVS provides the intelligence, and ultimately the U.S. corporations provide the funds.
Mark Schapiro, take it from there. The U.S. corporations provide the funds for the so-called Green Police. Explain.
This is a trail that the U.S. companies provide the money to for the purchase of this land, and in order to obtain a level of certainty, there's a requirement if you're going to establish a carbon credit reserve, which is really what's happening here. That demands several things, and that includes a level of predictability in the measurements. I mean, one of the controversies now is really how predictable forests how predictably they can be measured. But one thing it demands is a predictability in the measurements, so you can establish how much volume. You saw the man measuring the tree, and what you do to establish the quantity of carbon in that reserve is you extrapolate from that single tree to the hundreds of thousands of trees throughout the reserve, and then you figure out how much carbon is contained in those trees. So to establish a predictable measurement, you have to really limit the disruptions within the forest. And so the Green Police, which is an established state police force,
we have 15
now
seconds,
is charged
Mark.
with enforcing the reserves. The money from the companies goes to the Nature Conservancy, which in turn gives it to the Brazilian Conservation Organization, which in turn cooperates very closely with the Green Police and does a lot of training. So the
10 seconds.
And so this is how the connection works. And the point was to draw the links between the United States and an offset in a very remote part of the world.
Mark Schapiro, you did a remarkable job from the Center for Investigative Reporting, speaking to us from University of California, Berkeley. We will link to your website for all of the video clips and the investigative work you have done. Also wrote for Mother Jones Magazine. Our website, democracynow.org. I'm Amy Goodman. Thanks for joining us.